100 years ago this Friday, on June 26, 1915, 7 young engineers pooled together their life savings of about $30,000 to form a corporation that would pioneer an entirely new industry and change the world in ways they never could have anticipated. One of those ways wasn't evident until years later. Let me show you some numbers and see if you can figure out the innovation. We'll look at some big cities in the United States, Atlanta, Dallas, Las Vegas, and Phoenix, and track their population growth rates each decade during the middle of last century. Now here's the 1930s. It was about 10% in Atlanta and Dallas, higher in Vegas and Phoenix because back then they were so small it didn't take much for their population to grow fast. But watch what happened during the next 2 decades. Atlanta's growth rate jumped to almost 50% by the 1950s, while Dallas went way up in both those decades. But that was nothing compared to Las Vegas and Phoenix. The population there exploded, especially in the 1950s, with huge growth rates, more than 300% in Phoenix. Now, you may have noticed these places are all in the South, where most cities had similar population trends. Here's 2 other examples, Albuquerque and Tucson. These are raw population numbers in thousands of people, comparing 1950 with 1960. The population more than doubled in that 10-year period in Albuquerque and more than quadrupled in Tucson. So what was behind these huge jumps in population? The answer, to a large extent, air conditioning. The story of modern air conditioning began in July 1902, when a 25-year-old engineer named Willis Carrier was working for the Buffalo Forge Company, which not only made forges, but also heating systems. One of its clients was a printing company where summer's heat and humidity caused the paper to swell and the ink to smear. Carrier was assigned to the problem. His novel solution was to remove the humidity by passing the air through cold water coils, a design that also chilled, circulated, and cleansed the air, properties that define modern air conditioning. Carrier refined his idea over the next decade, and with 6 fellow engineers, started his own company in June 1915, the Carrier Engineering Corporation. The first big public test of air conditioning came on Memorial Day in 1925 in New York City, when Carrier debuted his invention in Paramount Pictures' new Rivoli movie theater in Times Square. The demo was a huge success, and it's not a stretch to say that air conditioning helped invent the summer blockbuster movie. Over the next 20 years, air conditioning was mostly available only in big commercial spaces, such as theaters and department stores, simply because the machines were too large and expensive for most homes. But by the late 1940s, the first affordable portable window units appeared, and within 5 years, room air conditioner sales exceeded 1 million units per year, making locations that had been unbearably hot and humid much more tolerable. So it's certainly fair to say that air conditioning not only circulated air, it circulated people. Fred is next to let you know if you'll need your AC in the extended forecast.